Welcome to the webinar today that I am going to lead with also with Yolanda. So today we're talking about human plus AI, redefining pre-sales enablement for the next decade.
Right, thanks, Julia. And while we're starting, I'd like to just do an introduction for Julia. Julia is a seasoned pre-sales leader with a decade of experience in the SaaS industry across many different geographies, and she speaks 4 languages. She's lived in 5 countries, and she brings a real global boundary-pushing perspective to everything that she does. And we are very, very grateful, Julia, for you to spend the time with us today to go over this. It's a very exciting topic, and by the number of registrants we've seen, it seems like everybody can't wait to get into this. So just some housekeeping. We will absolutely keep time at the end for any questions. If you have any burning questions, feel free to pop them into the chat. I will moderate, and at times throughout the presentation, based on questions, we will take a pause and get Julia to maybe address some of those, and then just enjoy it. And over to you, Julia.
Great. Thank you so much, Yolanda. So first off, I'm sorry about how this looks. I've tried to put it in presenter mode, but it's just, yeah, my laptop has just not helped me with some of the technical stuff. I think you've all been there, so I'm just gonna present like this today. I hope that's okay. Just thinking about how to do it out of the box and differently. So packed agenda for today. First of all, I want to thank all of you for joining right now. So it's 12 and you're joining at potentially your time when you're having lunch. So giving up an hour for your lunch for me or eating at the same time, that's great. Trust me, it's going to be worth your time. So in the agenda, we're going to kick it off with a little Kahoot poll to get the blood flowing and dive into this theme for today. Then I'll be setting the scene with some statistics from the MIT papers, some other research like Salesforce that I've looked at, and some more things to talk about the AI revolution. What is the challenge and what it means for companies and the pre-sales role and how enablement basically wraps all of that together and how it comes into play. I will also get my friend Naksha, who is a ex-pre-sales professional, to talk in a short video about her story, and we'll finish it off with questions and answers. So as you might have realized, I want this to be a good value of your time and have made it as interesting and a little bit interactive as possible. So of course, I've also gotten help from AI, as you can imagine. All right. So let's start with the reality check. The headlines say that 95% of enterprise AI pilots fail. That sounds like a disaster, right? But if you peel back the layers of the onion or the microchips, the MIT research tells us something very different. 90% of employees are already using AI daily at work. They're not waiting for their companies to roll it out, but instead have adopted consumer tools like ChatGPT multiple times a day because it just works. Meanwhile, only 40% of companies have officially usage of enterprise AI licenses. So bear in mind with that, OpenAI launched ChatGPT, if you can recall, in November 2022. So that is almost 3 years ago now. So what's really happening? We're seeing a bottom-up revolution. Employees are thriving whilst enterprises are struggling to keep up with governance, security, policy, and rollout of AI. And nowhere is this more visible than in pre-sales. So here's where pre-sales really stands out. A recent 1AUP.ai study showed that 80% of SEs already use AI to amplify their work. But beyond just the adoption of it, we're witnessing the rise of a digital sales engineer, as they call it. What does it mean? It means AI co-pilots are already doing things like drafting RFP responses in minutes instead of days. I actually just had a message earlier of a friend of mine, Richa, who I believe is on the call today, about this as she's going through a very, very tedious 500 question RFP. So we're doing this now in minutes instead of days, pulling competitive intel as well instantly, or even auto-generating demo environments or prep notes before a customer call. AI is increasingly acting as a shadow SE, taking on repetitive technical admin to the real SE so that they can focus on storytelling and solutioning. This shift is transforming the SE role itself from demo jockeys, yes, or monkeys, to strategic advisors who spend more time in front of customers and less time buried in paperwork. So, when we say digital sales engineer, we're not talking about some futuristic concept. It's already here. AI co-pilots are augmenting pre-sales today, and the organizations embracing that are seeing their SEs have more impact in the field faster. This isn't about replacement, it's about multiplication of impact. So the real story is not AI is failing, the real story is top down is failing, but bottom up is thriving. And pre-sales is leading that change. So we should really feel proud of ourselves, I think. We're the function showing that real adoption exists and what it looks like. So before I go on to the next slide, as I said, I wanted to put in a little poll about this to understand where you are all at in terms of redefining the pre-sales enablement with AI. So let me just try to host this Kahoot live.
While Julia brings up the Kahoot, I guess a lot of you were sitting and nodding while she was going through this. I definitely see a lot of this happening now. And I think for any kind of pre-sales engineer, if someone says, hey, I've never used AI to help myself with something, then they must be lying. I think we can all resonate with what was said.
And we have a little elevator music to help us out here. So
all right. And then there we go. All right, so if everybody can take out their phone and you can scan that QR code, you would be able to join our Kahoot. You could also go to kahoot.it and just put the game pin in. And yeah, let's get into the polls.
We'll give it a few minutes to get everybody on. Excited to see what everybody's gonna be answering on these questions.
Says there's a participant limit.
Oh, there might be.
Okay, we'll play with the 3 people on screen. Apologies for this, guys. These are the things we figure out when it's too late. But feel free to also be part of the Kahoot and put any of your responses into the chat. That would be great if you can. Thank you so much. Thanks, Julia.
Great. Let's go. So what are the AI tools that you're using to enhance your work today? And you can put in 1, 2, 3, or 4. And custom in-house enterprise AI build. Interesting.
Yeah. I see that in the chat, there is a mix.
A mix of those. Okay, interesting. I mean, that was the second most polled answer with 3 people. So thank you guys.
Yep.
Thanks for adding some stuff in the chat as well. It's really important. And I will make sure next time my Kahoot is on point. All right. So very
Okay.
interesting. Are we ready to go to the next, Yolanda?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, let's go to the next one. At what level would you say you use AI tools today in general? Beginner, intermediate, advanced, or expert? Oh, okay. It's a little bit of a mix of everything. I feel like we need to have more experts out there to teach us all how to become an expert. So that's great. Great to
Yeah.
know that it's
And in
out
the
there.
chat, we've got a lot of mostly intermediate.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yep.
think that's where would you put yourself, Yolanda, in this?
I would say I am mostly intermediate. I do actual prompt engineering on things and I build my own GPTs and things like that, but it's really
Yeah.
just to streamline for myself. I haven't really created anything amazing or an agent. Created a notebook LM so that I don't have to
Yep.
read the step every time I want a security response, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
No,
yourself?
great. I feel like yeah, I think I'm similar. Maybe on the verge of a little bit more advanced, but yeah, I'd say overall I'm going to go for intermediate too. So
Amazing.
all right, let's go on the next one. As a pre-sales professional, what are some of the ways or use cases you use AI for? And here it's a typed answer that you need to give. We get a little bit
This
more
will probably be
questions.
very interesting to see.
Yeah, so if you
And
can just
everybody
type that
feel
out in the
free
chat.
to do in the chat for us as well. That will be amazing. Thank you. All right, we've got the first one from Risha, and she says RFPs, demo talk tracks, emails. Ben says custom development, meeting notes, images for demos. I say yes to all of those things because that's exactly
Yeah,
what I've been doing as well. It's really, really
yeah.
good. Automations, presentations, and meetings. Very good.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean that's how I use most of it as well. I use it also a lot for research. I don't know about you, Yolanda, but whenever I'm speaking to a prospect or a company that I don't know enough of, or I really want to deep dive about a specific product that I'm going to use as an example in my talk tracks, or even building out talk tracks. That's something that I also use it for.
Absolutely. I see Paul also says that he uses it for POCs. I know that it's very valuable for me when I can go and say, hey, I'm going to talk to this company, they're in this industry. This is what I want to showcase to them, but give me a company name, some addresses, and even make sure that my story makes sense to their day to day. Because sometimes if you don't really, you're not going to be an expert in everybody's industry.
Mm.
And to actually you know, frame up your story and the value that you're telling for something that they do day to day, especially if you haven't had the chance to do a lot of discovery. I find that very invaluable. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's also presentations, meeting prep, etc. Perfect.
love it. Love to hear it.
Yeah.
Okay, on to the next one. What does pre-sales enablement mean to you? And again, this is a type out question. Business intelligence.
Nice.
Interesting.
In the chat, the trend is really about training and tools. Risha says storytelling is a core aspect of enablement. Josh is saying upskilling of team members in any facet, so soft skills, technical knowledge, etc., is what they're taking as
Yeah,
enablement.
yeah, I love that. I feel like storytelling is definitely one that I think about a lot. We're actively, at my company at Seismic, we're actively working on this constantly, always trying to make sure it gets better and better to hit the nail on it. Yeah, as well as, thinking about uh, competitive intelligence as well is really, really effective there.
Yes, yes. And Risha is saying about, being product agnostic, so you can always learn product, which is part of a training. And I agree. And in the terms of storytelling, um, recently I was also on a panel to get some new SCs engaged and into the business. And I always also say, everybody's going to come with technical expertise and knowledge. The product you can learn, but if you need to look for those people that have those really exceptional pre-sales skills. And for me, storytelling is a huge one. I find in our business that's the type of enablement and training that you're constantly working at with teams. So if you can find someone that naturally does that very well, it's
Mm.
always a good find. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. All right, let's move on. When you use AI, what usually is your goal? Save
Hey.
time, repetitive tasks. What do we have on the chat?
So on that chat, it's very much the same. It's saving time and energy, getting your research quicker, making sure that you get something that can wow them in a short time frame. There's a
Mm.
lot, accuracy, speed. So that's definitely what it is. For me, sometimes it's getting myself out of my perfection loop where I feel like I can't start because I'm overthinking and over planning. And what if they like this? Maybe this is a better way to do it. Should I do it this? Should I actually just making the decision and doing it instead of like that
Mm.
over planning that I tend to do sometimes. Sometimes it's like having a very intelligent person. You say, hey, if these are the people and I'm thinking that this would resonate with them, or I can do it this way. What do you think? And then it usually comes and says, just do it this way. And you're like, okay, fine. And you just
Yeah,
move on. Yep.
yeah.
I find that. Use many use cases, but not one that's fun is ideation, but one that's the fun one. Ideation,
Oh,
using it for ideation to
yeah.
solve some
Yeah.
problems, explore new ideas. Yep.
Yeah, I use that a lot for just brainstorming. Sometimes I'm like, okay, this is my idea. This is how I want to work through it. This is my workflow. Is there anything I can add in there that may be
Yes.
different? I try to
Yeah.
think
And
out
I
of the
see
box.
that Josh is also saying, strategies, scripts, outlines, content.
Yeah.
And one thing I've started doing, which I find hugely beneficial because it's like sometimes you have to consider every part. If you have a team of people, everybody will come with a different perspective. So sometimes what I would do is say, this is my story. Can you poke holes in it? Or what am I not thinking about? Or if you're going to be the naysayer in the room, what are you going to come at me for? And that helped
Yeah.
me prepare a lot of objection handling. Yeah. This is amazing.
Yeah. Thank you so
Creating
much
topical
for
jokes for my demo, Ben. I love that. I'm a big fan of the dad joke on a demo. I wish I could see some of the demo jokes. Anyway, all
Yeah.
right, back to you.
Yep. We're going on to the next one. Thanks for everybody's feedbacks there. So what are some of the skill set required, would you say, for the next pre-sale Gen AI phase? I feel like the music is really getting
I like it.
into this.
I was thinking, this is deep thinking music right here. This is a serious question.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
No
Yeah.
code.
And on the
Big one.
chat, there's a few different answers, but everybody's base answer is prompting. Absolutely, the way that you are asking or prompting for
Mm.
that response, and agents obviously as well. But I think prompting is a big thing.
Yeah, I love that. I would also add to that, um, not just prompting, but how are you feeding that information back in a very digestible way to your prospects or your
Yes.
clients? Because, how we are getting elevated on um, knowing what AI is, how it connects, how we sell it, all of that stuff. It's a lot more difficult, I think, for our prospects or our clients that are maybe not always in that space.
Yeah.
And they need education. So I'd say that is
Yeah.
also interesting.
I would also say I find with AI, depending on how you're asking or interacting, you could get a very good baseline of information that you need to distill. And sometimes if you ask another question, it will come up and it'll create so much extra stuff that eventually there's so much noise and there's so much stuff that unless you're really focused on what you're trying to do, the AI is going to create more and more and more and more facts for you and more things. It's eventually going to be this huge thing, and then you might not know where to start. And you'll have to ask it, where do I start again with all of this? But it's about the focus, and I guess it comes to what you're saying. How are you going to then distill that and present it out in an understandable way to your audience? And I guess that's also part of prompting, so you don't end up with this mirage of
Hmm.
facts and things that just get bigger and bigger every time you ask a question. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Let's move on to the last question. And it's a poll. What's the biggest barrier stopping you from using AI more effectively? And these are just examples, but if you have other things in mind, please feel free to type that out in the chat. Yep, I love that answer. What else is
And
there
then
on the
the
chat?
chat is really lack of the right training to use it, security concerns,
Yeah.
falling back on education with everything moving so quickly. You just learn one thing today, tomorrow it's a new thing again. Um,
Mm,
dedicated training. So Josh says he learns as he goes, he gets a ton of value, but he's sure there's more that he can be doing. I mean, these things are changing. What you can understand everything about it today, and tomorrow there's something new again. So I think it can be pretty overwhelming, and there's so many
yeah.
options.
Oh yeah, don't
Yeah.
we all feel like that? I
Oh
feel
my
all the time
gosh.
like that I could be doing more, but I'm just so busy with so many other things. And really dedicating time to it yeah, is very tough, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Time. Paul says time as well. So we're all on par with all of that. Great.
Okay, awesome. So, all right, what does the research say then? Let's go into, how do I get out of here? Up. Great. And okay, up. So, why enterprises struggle? So, thanks for all of your answers. I think a lot of those you'll see in, you'll see verified in a lot of the things that I'm going to be saying here. But why do so many enterprise AI initiatives fall short? The answer is mostly rigidity. So, custom built enterprise AI often looks good in a demo, but in practice, it's fragile because it forgets a lot of things, such as context. It can't adapt, and it loses patience. Users lose patience when using it. So MIT shows that this is why most of the flashy pilots fail. And you would think, yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but I do come myself across a lot of prospects that are thinking, hey, why if this is what AI does, like why can't we have our own teams internally do it, create it, right? So, but yeah, as we all know, because we're pre-sales, we know how complex all of that is. So the important thing to note here is the guardrails around the content governance and permissions. So I know some of you said security, right? Security is really, really important, absolutely. Because that governance and permission is not always set up properly in most of the AI tools. And when you have garbage come in, then you know that garbage will come out too, and the answers aren't really trustworthy. So then it begs the question, did I just waste my time prompting to get inaccurate results? It's supposed to elevate me and give back time to me. So now compare that to companies who partner externally and don't decide to go with the in-house build option. So what we see here is that they succeed twice as often with 67% versus 33%. And why is that? Well, it's not just because of the AI and the tool, but it's mostly because vendors bring that domain expertise as well, proven workflows and constant iteration, which I'm going to add in here, help from the pre-sales as well, because, we are there to elevate and bring that expertise and that knowledge about AI. So Salesforce did also benchmark stress testing leading AI agents on their own CRM style tasks. So they tested like GPT-4, Gemini 2.5 Pro, etc. And the findings were that AI agents can handle simple one-step tasks like routing a lead with about almost 60%, like 58% success rate. But as soon as they're asked to manage multi-step workflows, like handling a service escalation or multi-turn negotiation, their performance collapses to 35%. I think we all agree on that, right? Like we want to take as I at least use it for a lot of, like I said, research, for a few questions, brainstorming, things like that, script writing. But as soon as it becomes a bit more of a deep dive thinking or even action placing, then I just refer to my own brain, which I guess is good because we still need to work our brains a little bit. And so yet. Pre-sales is showing how to make AI work today. When AI acts as an assistant, drafting RFP responses, generating call notes, or pulling API references, it creates a real leverage. This research also suggests it can already automate 30 to 50% of a sales engineer's admin workload. I found that pretty surprising. I wouldn't say it would 30 to 50 is a lot. I would say it's about 25% for me, maybe less. But apparently that's what the research shows. So pretty surprising. So it means less time on repetitive tasks and more time in front of customers doing discoveries, demos, and solutioning. So this is a big takeaway, and it presses on my last message. While enterprise AI projects often overreach and stumble, pre-sales team are quietly proving that we are the winning model. We start small, we automate the boring, free humans, and freeing humans from the strategic. So thinking a little bit more of a deep dive here. All right, this brings us to a very, very big theme, and a little bit zooming out a little bit from just the pre-sales bit here. The balance between humans and AI. So again, the MIT research shows 70% of employees are happy to let AI handle routine tasks. Makes sense. Things like drafting emails, summarizing meeting notes, or doing quick research. But when the stakes are high, so not just when it's a multi-turn questioning or reasoning that comes into play, but when you're thinking about, okay, what are the risks if I do get an answer that is not very accurate? Because I'm using something like a GPT, 90% still want to have a human in the loop for those important judgment calls, negotiations, and complex solutioning. And that's the sweet spot for us for pre-sales. So as we think about letting AI take care of these repetitive tasks, ideation phase, and the high value human parts of our jobs. So, we may have our jobs for a lot longer than we think, than we initially maybe thought we would. So I don't know about you, but I feel like that is something I personalize my demos a lot more in the last, I think, year and a half. I've adopted AI from the beginning, but not as much in my work. I think more in my personal life as I do now. And yeah, as I said, talk tracks as well, helping me through AI. So my GPT buddy is there also to explain in detail what the company does when I'm talking to a specific prospect, and how this product launches or product fit into my pitch solutioning. So if we go back to the MIT research, the business impact is visible showing teams that when they're embedding AI into the enablement program, so now we're connecting the enablement piece as well, we're seeing 35% larger deal sizes and 20% stronger revenue growth. So that comes back to some of you that answered in the chat earlier about getting that help in terms of training, right? Like, are we getting trained enough about AI? And now I can talk about just GTM roles generally, not just pre-sales, because I think we as pre-sales are quite curious human beings and we go out and about to learn ourselves, right? Train ourselves. So because the ultimate output of companies are using AI, this frees up time for the go-to-market teams to spend more time in front of customers, positioning the value and building trust, which you can say is a little bit ironic, right? Because AI might actually bring humans closer. There was all this talk a few years back about, oh my gosh, like, are we all just now going to become robots and not going to see each other, talk to each other outside? And then with COVID, that also accentuated that. I'm not sure that was a word. But yeah, actually, this makes us think, okay, well, if we're all going to use AI to all become more efficient and productive, that means we're going to have more time to spend with our clients or customers. So positioning that value and building trust and these connections. Salesforce benchmarks also gave us this fascinating insight. So the best AI agents don't try to wing it. They ask clarifying questions. And I've not seen too much of that yet, a little bit here and there on GPT. But that's when I position the GPT or my agent to do so. I don't know if you have seen that, if you've seen maybe in enterprise AI tools or in your own day-to-day usage of AI, if you've had some AI asking clarifying questions, because Salesforce basically says that this insight basically brings a lot more accurate answers and improves the success rate and the adoption of it as well. The best sales engineers don't just deliver answers. They, of course, dig deeper, they clarify, they co-create with the customer. So that's, again, on another level. AI is starting to mimic that behavior, but humans still excel at it. Adoption is racing ahead. 78% of sales teams already use AI daily. So we're talking about all of sales teams. Pre-sales is moving even faster, and this is transforming the SE role from a demo jockey into a true strategic advisor. So we know what we need to know, but how does this connect with the skill sets that the workforce in AI is looking at more and more these days? Because let's face it, the landscape is evolving and at the speed of light, and our jobs are challenging it as well. So, that fear that you have maybe in the back of your head of like, how long am I going to keep a job? So I also dug a little bit deeper with, Sam Altman. Well, not with him, but online. I listened to a few of his YouTube videos and read a few things on his Instagram feed. So he's, if you don't know him yet, CEO of OpenAI. He made a very powerful point earlier in the year. He said, in the age of AI, adaptability is more valuable than expertise. Why? Because the knowledge half-life or shelf life is shrinking. So that means that whatever we know today will be outdated faster than ever. So the people that will win at this won't be the ones that are getting the most information in their heads. They're actually the ones that will want to learn fast or pivot quickly, be very uh, adaptable, and apply new tools before anyone else. He emphasized as well that something critical for us pre-sales, the right questions matter most than the right answers. AI can generate endless outputs, we know that, but the pre-sales professionals who frame the problem in the right way, ask these clarifying questions, and refine the questions, guide the AI towards more of a customer impact and better answers. So that's where our human advantage right now lives, and we need to use it more.
That's great. I'm wondering if the people in the call, maybe one word in the chat, what role do you think AI should play in pre-sales? Do you think it should be an assistant, an advisor, a strategist? What are your thoughts based on the data that Julia just shared? Questions here. What do you think, Julia? Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with most of it. I think, as I said, we are curious generally in the pre-sale space. So I think we're the ones that are adopting it the fastest as we can. I really do think though, and that's going to come into my next slides, is indeed the training bit is lacking. I feel like sometimes I feel a bit overwhelmed with how to start, right? I'm doing my best to go on GPT, go on other tools, of course, like enterprise tools that we have as well internally at Seismic, when specifically thinking about um, demoing, about learning, about all of these things. But I do feel like there's just an overarching, not fear, but I guess this like pressure of how do I connect everything?
Yes. Right. And I see there's a lot of answers in the chat, and everybody also feels like it's a little bit of everything, but mostly, having AI assist you and to get to the better outcomes. And what you said as well, taking all of the information, all of the thinking you have and putting it into a very clear, concise way.
Hmm.
Perfect. All
Yeah.
right. So Josh is saying you heard AI referred to as augmented intelligence, which you feel in many ways is a very accurate description. I agree with that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was also a very good question from Ben, but I think we'll park that one just to the end and I will stop interrupting you and hand it back over to you.
Mhm. Great. Thanks so much for all this interactivity and the feedback. All right, so this will be my almost last slide before I hand it over to a little video from my friend. But when we're thinking about what this means for pre-sales, so pre-sales is often, as I said, the front line of AI adoption, and sales engineers are already the ones experimenting with ChatGPT, but not only. I feel like, again, there's a few of you that may be a little bit more advanced, building your own workflows, and or at least thinking about, okay, where can I put in some time to learn a little bit more about how I'm supposed to use AI, not just AI for my day to day, but how can I use that as well for work and really actively augment that as well? Because even myself, I feel like there's so much more that I should be doing. So I think like SEs are becoming quietly the shadow AI champions inside our organizations. Secondly, enablement itself is shifting. If we really do a focus on this, it used to be all about pushing out content. So, slide decks, one pagers, training sessions that were done maybe online or, 2-hour videos, things like that. But now even enablement is completely evolving into skill development, which a few of you pointed out as well in the chat earlier. And so skill development and also orchestration. Seller material today now it's not enough because professionals need also guidance on how to implement that, how to practice it, how to apply it, and how that connects with the outcomes of their own roles and organizations internally, but also who they're speaking to. As we know, one of the biggest challenges today is, as we said earlier, knowledge retention, and referring back to Sam Altman, which makes me feel a little bit better because I was joking earlier as well with you, Yolanda, like my memory is just, and my span of retention is just so low. I feel like it's pretty bad, and I think we should think about ways to how do we change that as well, right? But how do we transfer then this knowledge into or this theory into practice. And that's something that's becoming more and more important in the enablement space. And then once you practice it enough times, then it becomes a habit, right? And that's when you want to keep these habits going. So AI is accelerating this shift, and it's transforming that enablement into from whatever was before the static playbooks or even content into now interactive, fun, live, adaptive systems. This is also why, when I was creating this deck and I was going through it, I was just thinking like, I want this to be as valuable as possible because I've been in webinars myself where it wasn't interactive and where because my memory and my short attention span was so short after, a few minutes, I was just like, yeah, I'm not even listening to this. So that's also why I've added a little bit of questions, answers, asking you guys to interact and having that Kahoot in there as well, right? And putting different types of formats like the video that I'm going to put in afterwards. But yeah, imagining an enablement hub nowadays that is not just storing content, but actively recommending all of these things at the right time, at the right place, with the right micro lessons, with just-in-time playbooks, and all of these very interactive types of contents for the different deals. In pre-sales, it's especially powerful because our work is complex and technical. AI can now coach SEs with some AI role plays. We have those ourselves at Seismic now. That provides then instant feedback on some pitch practices and even adaptive micro lessons on where some of us maybe struggle or really again uplifting the talk tracks that we have. So perhaps most importantly, pre-sales professionals now expect to personalize also just-in-time enablement wherever we are, not just using 10 different tools and just figuring out where we need to go. We want to have everything that we need in one single place served up to us when we need it the most. And that's where AI is going to be, more and more efficient. And we see it now in the enablement tools that we have today. So the state of pre-sales enablement is clear. It's not anymore static. It's all about AI-powered, adaptive, and really built around elevating us as pre-sales or sales engineers to play more of a strategic role in the sales process and to become, that trusted advisors, not just for our sellers, working with them side by side, but also with our partners, with our customers. Okay, so now we're heading on to the video. So I'm really excited to hand things over to what you'll listen to, Naksha. So she started her career in post-sales. She made the leap into pre-sales and then has since carved out a really powerful role in enablement on an international scope. What's the best part of her journey? She's blending all of what we spoke about into these experiences with AI to design her own enablement programs today, and is working and that actually used to work, as I said, as a pre-sales professional. So she's really thinking about it really intentively on how this really lands in the field. So if you've ever wondered what it looks like, you can hear from her right now. And again, feel free to whatever rings bells to you, whatever you think is interesting, or even questions you have, go ahead and pop that into the chat.
Hello, everyone. I'm Naksha. I'm currently a Senior Revenue Enablement Manager at User Testing. I'm based in Edinburgh, Scotland. That's why you're just seeing a video of me right now. But just want to tell you a bit about my story and how I ended up with the enablement role and how I use AI and all my thoughts around it. So my career really started on the post-sale side of things, implementing tools, and then it moved along to pre-sales, where I will spend most of my time running demos, translating technical solution into business outcomes, but also working closely with customers to resolve their problems or prospects, of course. So, but what I discovered on that journey is that what I actually loved about my role was to help others shape their skills, connect with their strategy, being successful and confident about their conversations. And that's why my passion naturally led into enablement. So when we think about going from pre-sales to enablement, I think that gave me actually a foundation for the everyday, like to be able to do enablement across the whole go-to-market teams. Is very important to understand what the roles are about and what they need to deal on a daily basis. And I think the fact that I was part of an account team, it helped me massively, together with my passion for coaching, storytelling, communication, and helping others. Everything within pre-sales, in my opinion, is about being curious, making sure we can connect the dots with stories, and tailoring like that the solution for a specific need, right? Anything we are talking about. And then in enablement, I see it as a bridge between taking all of those frameworks and actually action them, and finding a way to scale. So it's really turning a strategy into execution. That's where I see where enablement comes and plugs into the whole process within organization and go-to-market teams. So like that, and everyone within the organization can actually be empowered to do the role, to go through the challenges and be ready for what's coming next. Because ultimately, if we are confident in ourselves and what we're capable of and telling the stories, then we will be able to do our roles that way. Every time I think about AI in general, so when I use it on my life on a day-to-day basis, I don't see it as a tool, something that is gonna just replace what I do on a daily basis or some of my tasks. I see it like a magnifier to help me out. So magnifying my capabilities, my creativity, my productivity. So it's just a tool to find either blind spots or helping me be more productive. I think in general, when I talk about it and I share it with the teams, I share it as a tool. It's a tool that it can help with account planning quickly, or potentially connecting the dots, or maybe if we don't find the right words to tell the story, to put it together for you, depending on who your audience is. If we think about selling, enabling, or any interaction is actually based in communication and how we communicate and how we pass a message. So AI actually is brilliant on helping us putting all of our ideas together with the right structure, the right story, or the right wording, regardless of the language or the industry you are in. That's actually very powerful, and I found that very powerful personally, but also within the teams I work with. But also it helps to summarize things, content, for example, when I'm creating content for the teams, to make sure I get the right bullet points together. But I think for me, one of the principles about using AI and going back to that idea of, well, it is a magnifier, it's not a replacement, is that you always need to interact with AI. It's not about asking for a solution and taking it and then using that solution provided by the AI. Is more about, well, interacting with it so it actually understands and shapes up the answers based on your needs, but also then you can curate that answer, those results that you get. You also keep using your brain, if that makes sense, while you're actually getting this tool to help you be more productive and potentially achieve certain things quicker, or maybe more structured, depends on what are you using it for. So that's one of the big things I always talk about and take in consideration when speaking about AI, is making sure that we actually use it and interact with it and curate the content that comes out of it and the content that we're going to use. But then the second side of thing is, I think one of the big problems with how we are taking over the whole usage of AI on a daily basis is potentially the lack of education around it. So where it's true that is something that is like a mobile phone. Like if we think about it, 20 years ago, more or less, don't know exactly the time, but where the mobile phones were coming up, not everyone needed one. Not everyone had one, where now it's completely embedded in our day-to-day. Some people won't be able to live without their phone, or simply we're all very used to have it. So I think that with AI it's going to happen exactly the same. So it's not about avoiding AI, it's just having the right mindset about it, having the right education in regards of how to use it better, how to make it work with us, not for us, but also understanding how actually it's not a replacement, but it will be a magnifier.
Okay. Thank you so much, Naksha, for our good use of time, because I know we're almost up. I think we should head out to the questions and answer part.
Thank you so much, Julia, and thanks for that message from Naksha. She really highlights how enabling is shifting from content to skills and context, which is really good. And I think it kind of embodies a lot of what we've discussed here today, and with our attendees here. Thank you so much, Julia. This was immensely valuable. It was great to get your take on it, and we hope to host you soon again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. And if anyone wants to chat about anything, or meet up around in Sydney, feel free to reach out on LinkedIn. And of course, we will be sending out, the recording and also the slides if for you to have.
Amazing. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.